talk number 6. We welcome our dear participants, Ajay Sharma and Abdulnur Akyüz. Ajay Sharma is a visual artist who formerly studied painting. However, his work covers a wide range of media, including drawing, painting, sculpture, video, sound, installation, performance, conventional and revived techniques of photography, durational and site-specific installations, as well as new technologies. His artistic inquiry seeks to understand the epistemological engagement of processes, legitimation of alternative affirmatives, sabotage of performance practices, documentations, individual and collaborative practice. He is exploring space portrayed as a metaphorical and hypothetical ground in performative action, installation and observation of time paradox, durational historicity of place, action, objects, and body installation. Ajay Sharma initiated and conceptualized the idea of in-process, open source performance practice and documentation in 2018. Since childhood, he has been through several traumatic experiences of death, which have had a very deep impact on his thought process. The inquiry into existence of life and absence of body, person in daily life. The process of mind and projection, which he had experienced psychologically and observed mental illness in his brother, has led him to examine the psyche of different events in day-to-day life process. Therefore, he is investigating death phenomena in time, how they take place with different notions and corporeality, body images, embodiment. These investigations take references from different socio-political events, experience of day-to-day life through Indian and Buddhist philosophies. He takes drawing as a vehicular aspect of his thoughts, elaborating on the notion of bhava, phenomena, and realization. Performance and alternative photography enable him to engage with external space as opposed to his internal visual thoughts. Here a list of his background and his works. In process is equilibrium of embodiment via intercorporeality of the body in time. The artistic inquiry of in process seeks to understand the epistemological engagement of processes, legitimization of alternative affirmatives, sabotage of performance practices, documentation, individual and collaborative actions in public and indoor spaces. The idea of performance possibility for them goes beyond the white cube culture and decentralizes the idea of the one particular class system, the bourgeois. We bring it to smaller spaces, connect with it, and develop the local performative and indigenous practices. They engage in and involve local, rural, and small city practices. Well, here some of his visual works and a brief description. He has set up a space called Siagar in Sanskrit and Hindi, meaning dark room. He opened up this space to develop community-based practice of alternative photography studio in New Delhi. Now it is in Chandigarh, India. He is co-founder member of Zamin Collective, New Delhi, India, 2019. Currently, he is teaching as assistant professor in Chikara University, Punjab. Well, over here we will be showing a brief summary of a very extensive work in various medium. I would like you to explain this phrase that is very interesting. How many times it happened there before we called it performance? That it appears in all your works. Could you please tell us something about this phrase?
Okay, so this is like, you can say, very poetic approach. this word started in reference of my hometown, and because I keep moving and the keep migrating place to the different place, and so I look at this idea from the Bob Dylan's the songs, you know. So I inspired from the like Bob Dylan's songs, and then I thought like, yeah, this is very true. And when we look at the idea, the philosophical approach of this idea and connecting my Indian thought process to look at the one body, like we this is my body right now, but might be I born several times and I come and I visited this place in several times. So this is the spiritual understanding of this project, but the same time social, political, and geopolitical, you can say, and ecological questioning of visiting those places like my childhood. There was a water crisis, and it is in Jharkhand. It's in when I was in 2000 and 2003, 4, and I revisit several times. So that time, like, because of I am very simple labor class family, my father was a painter. So we used to live in a very small places, and where you have to go and stand in a queue, and you have to, the wait for hours to get a 1 or 2 bottle a bucket of water, drinking water. So this crisis was in 2000 and 2001 to after almost 20 years now. Still the same crisis is there, and also the land sand, the smuggling or sand, how the people mining, sand mining and stone mining for the construction work. So there is a lot of murder happen in this place. A lot of, the local criminal groups, they fight for acquiring the power to sell the sand because it is very cheaper, and they can, the deal, they can sell the sand in to the builders and so many places. So whenever I visit those places, the first was water crisis, second was this land mafia and sand mafia, then, stone mafia. And for that, always I hear the murders, the lot of body found unknown. And so these attracted me to, the look at this a whole idea into the very poetic, but the very, the aesthetically and visually how it look like, but also at the same time it address your personal and struggle and crisis. And because I always think art is very beautiful tools to express in a very, the manner where you enjoy, but at the same time it left the question to think you. So I made it like it's a long time. Whenever I visit, I perform there. I found the some places and evidences, and I go and I just act like my body as a dead body, or I re structure the performance, which I thought like it is happened so many time here. The body, like lot of murder, lot of body is thrown here so many times. So I just witnessing and imagine this idea of performance. So it is already there. So I am just the tool to, the relocate or re explore, you can say.
We can check all of these works in Ajay WordPress. It's a very
Yeah.
effective set of works. Here is a little bit of poetry. Before the performance, there is hidden conversation between body and mind. Often there was a witness before us. Thereafter, we are witnessing the space every now and then, time and death. Perhaps it was the history. Here, a work of drawing that Vijay mentions as a very important part of his process with performance. So I don't know if you want to tell us something about this project, the whole land child.
Yeah, it was in 2016 with Future Collaboration, and Future Collaboration curated by the very well-known curator right now in India, Premji Acharya. And we, a group of young artists, come together and we started talking to do something together. So I was there, and in the 2016 was in Kashmir. It was a great the crisis, like the government fired the pellet gun on people, so it was very cruel. Also the this the Palestine and Israel crisis is all there at that time also hugely, and also this Islamic phobia kind of things, because I was traveling to US, and a lot of people see my beards and they think I'm Muslim, and then that time I don't have a long hair, so they try to catch you like hours, and they just take out your everything from luggage and check it properly, like make you in a special space. So it happened so many like different time in my traveling to US. I was in Kansas City with Charlotte Street Foundation, and so after coming that, I rejoined this collaboration, and what I did, I asked Premji's, I come up with this idea to make a series of performance in abundant space. So I don't know, like from the childhood, I just like this all abundant space. I think I find my a very creative zone. When I see, I found a lot of possibilities to do that abandoned space. So where I was living that time in Delhi, there was so many abandoned building, like this disputed building. The illegal disputes happen on the building, so whole construction get stopped, and it is so many in Delhi. And I found that place is quite attracting me, and I enter inside this the space. I found quite the no man's land kind of space. Can come up with their own idea of performance, and later on I installed this a big installation, video and light and sound with work with a poet and dancer, and the performance artist. And I think this was the very ground breaking work for me and the future collaboration also. After that, I don't know, like they didn't able to come up with this set of idea and all. Yeah.
Yeah, I also saw that there was a sound work. I don't remember exactly, but I tried to check and it was not there anymore. So well,
Yeah, I will share, like I locked it or somehow I think it is not available. I stable for some time, but I don't want to show now. So maybe
mhm.
later on I will execute.
Okay, thank you.
Uh,
This another work from 2017,
yeah.
and well, could you please tell us something about this
So
particular
the
work?
background image I recently also share on my profile is called, the word written is Mara, that means death. But the whole, this is the mythological explanation of first poem. So when you flip this word in a mirror, it become a Ram, which is the Lord Rama names. And this idea of Ram in the in now in this right wing approach, the the kingdom of Ram, the idealistic state of India, which is symbolized as a Hindu state, and which is very much pointed to the Lord Rama ideology, create as a the great king and great Hindu warrior. So the whole, and this is also very patriotic and Brahmanical, and you can say the upper caste ideology. And I found this word a lead like Mara is kind of death. So this ideology only create the death. And right now, if I see this ideology bring this our state of India, what is right now, where everybody is dying, it is horrible. I can't believe, like if I am here, I am talking, I feel I am very lucky. I don't know, tomorrow I will dead. And so it is very horrible to think. And now this whole situation in India, like it is totally now going to change my idea and perception. Because earlier I was had the some one of my family members slowly they did, but it was the very the very different situation when you lose someone. But now you see the death all over the spaces, and it is so horrible, so threatening, and you feel totally helpless.
Mhm.
It's 2 day ago, like that's why I said I am not able to concentrate the what Noor sent me as a text. I read it and I was not in a mental status. One of my very dear friend, we live, like we study together, he did, and he did in only 36-year-old. And I was like, I and this is not only him, like almost 7 to 8 people in the same age I lost from Delhi and Mumbai and Bangalore. They all are artists, young artists. And I don't know how to explain this thing right now. It's very, so this idea
Yes.
was also called the performative act, like residue of performative act. So this kind of political agenda have the residue of death, the residue of, they try to create something which is based on communal violence, the hatred with and based on the this mass killing. And I right now I see the whole situation, COVID situation, is mass killing, is mass murder, is kind of creating a death chamber.
Mhm. And it's happening all over the world right now. Over
Yeah.
so and in Palestine.
Yeah, so can you go back again? So this was the image you see that I designed as a dress, and I was performing in US and India and several spaces also. And that I designed particular to look at the different religion of the, like, you know, the when you see KKK from and also in Sevilla in Spain, when you see that, you know, they have a extremist right wing, they have this kind of dress also. I symbolize this idea of Brahmanical and idea of different symbol. I put it in this dress as a kind of, you know, the right wing or fascist agenda.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah,
politically charged, all of these.
yeah.
Well, here, PM 2.5 level of
Yeah, 1033. So
2000.
in 2016, I did this performance in 2017, but 2016 again in Delhi, I was doing a job in primary school. So I was a primary art school teacher. So I was teaching that time in a primary school, and you can say the age of 4 to 5 year to, you know, the 12 year age is kids I was teaching. And in 2016 December, it was a huge pollutions in Delhi, and lot of people died, and lot of people have this asthma, you know, the breathing problem. And every day, like, I go to school and I find some small kid, they fall into the ground because they are not able to breathe properly. So that was that the huge pollution level in that time. And that was that the PM 2.5 level of 1000, that the highest that time was recorded. Now is much more pollution level.
How did you recorded that?
That was from the news, what I collected in the highest pollution. Like, even you can Google it, you will find it. So this was just I kept the name, and when you go to the different image, you will see how we will breathe under the dark cloud. So there was a big sentence, and I did this in Budapest with a book gallery, and uh, Katie was like, she is a curator over there of the festival. So I did one 3 day or 4 day long durational performance. So I had some idea to I will do in this name, but once I go to the Budapest, and I was living with Rocco and Roy Vara, Rocco Jasua and Roy Vara. Like, they are very important. Rocco Jasua, he curated the trans nation some performance festival, more than 30-year old in Eastern Europe. And that he was giving me the lot of like kind of tour. So I was going through the different places of Hungary, and I found one image of the dead skeleton, living skeleton from the Second World War, where it was the protest site in Hungary. And that was the last protest in Hungary, because after that, the Hungarian government stopped that right of protest in Hungary. So that is also, you know, the what is going on in Hungary. You can we can't imagine, like, how much they control the whole things. And there at that time also the lot of refuge. So I collected this, and I painted the Hungarian parliament, and I painted this whole skeleton body from the Second World War. And then I draw like every day, and evening I do the yoga session where I was teaching how to breathe. Like, there is the yoga pranayam process where we teach like how to breathe. And then, so this is was the teaching, like how you will breathe under the dark cloud.
It's extraordinary work.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, plus
listen.
plus listen. So I was learning the German because I had to go to the Germany in 2018. I was in Cologne Media Study. I got the chance, but I am not able to go. That's why at that time I was learning German. So that come up, but this I perform in my native town, Devghar. So these, like you can see, this stone where like I think it is gone now until now, like because they break this and they make the small stone chips for the buildings.
Mm.
So simply I was like imagining the river in that area because mostly we have the rain river in my hometown, and it will be like 4 or 5 months, and this May and June it will be completely dry. So I was holding the plastic
Mm.
on my mouth and I just was playing with air and wind. So kind of act all I had and I executed there with
Sorry.
yeah, it is fine.
Over here it
Okay.
is a picture from also very kindly. Well, there was a lot of work. It was very political and very also collective work with his projects. And well, we choose this image like to close the presentation.
Okay.
Can you tell us something about this?
Yeah, it is again like is very politically charged, you can say, and it was uh, I did in South Korea in 2019 with 13 Asian Monodrama Festival. So that is the very oldest monodrama festival, and I got the chance because Jason Moon was the director of this festival, one of the director in this festival. So he invited me for this festival. So 2016 again, like I will go to the 2016 again. Uh, there was a lot of mob lynching in India happen, like started 2015-16, and one of the person last in first presentation with I shared that image of mob lynching. You know, the Muhammad Akhlaq was killed in mob lynching, and my two friends were he is a reporter, so they were reporting. So one of my friend now he is in New York, Muhammad Ali. He written very detailed report on Muhammad Akhlaq lynching. So I read a two chapter only, and I am not able to read the further because it was so the cruel how they murdered this person, and that was the first murder in after coming in a power of this right wing government in 2015. So it shocks after the suddenly the lot of this cow lynching, murder on the cow, like the beef and selling beef, they started ban on all over the India beef, and they target this Muslim community for lynching, and they say like they are the beef eater and all, so they start targeting. So it was completely that time I was going through this whole things, and that reflect the state of mind on in but I get the chance to execute in outside of India. Maybe it will not possible to hold the original cow head and standing in a crowd, maybe someone. So I got the chance there, and I made a video with Abhimanyu, one of my friend. He is also the writer of the Note of the Hinterland. So that is the book where a lot of the writing is there, how this right wing started fabricating the news for the lynching the people. And one recent news was, the one of the journalist, he didn't died, but they published that he is died by, and he is the right wing supporter. And then he tweeted like, I am alive. And that same story was in this book. Yeah, so this is.
Well, here there is some of the links you can follow if you want to see more work. The blog, the site of In Process Live Art Practice, and Instagram. So to check this amazing work that is, as we have told before, very political, very work of research, very deep in so many medium as drawing, performance. So thank you, Ajay. Now we are gonna continue with.
Thank you, Monica. Yeah, it's a very humble introduction. Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak up.
Thanks to you. Well, we are gonna present now our dear Nur, Abdulnur Akyüz, an artist on a mission to save the world. He is an artist based in Beirut and the co-founder of ID Performative. Well, we mixed some of the themes or topics that our participants considered that they were the most important for them. So we came up with diversity and discussing the socio-discursive construction of identity. So here's a summary of his work that is also very extensive, a work that comes from very different fields like architecture, design, and performance. So, well, could you, Nur, please tell us something about this work?
Okay, so hello everyone. It's my first project. I was back in university once I did it, and basically it started like my story. I was telling the story of a young man who's stuck between Beirut and Istanbul, and he doesn't know where he belongs to.
It's a game, is it?
What?
It's a sort of game.
Yeah, it's a very traditional Turkish game, but it's very common in Lebanon. So it's a twist, it's a modern way to play it.
Well, this is a work, how would you pronounce Jersey?
Okay, it's Yersiz Yurtsuz. It means no land, no country.
Okay. Could you tell us something about this work?
Okay, so it's like my first, let's say, professional work, and it was an illustration. So basically, Yersiz Yurtsuz is a passport made inspired by status people who doesn't have a country. So whenever you don't have a country, so you don't have a passport. And it was like a mix between sketches and writings. And it's just like 5 pages that tells the story. Also, it was post Yeniden, the previous one. So it also talks about the relation between Lebanon and Turkey and where do I belong.
Here, there are the drawings that also are accompanied by a sort of, it's like the format of a postcard.
Yeah, it's like that.
Well, this is what is the platform?
This is like my first performance. I performed in Beirut for the first time. So basically what's happening in this part, it is divided in the middle, and where like, so initially they don't tell you the story, but it's like they gave an entrance for Muslims to enter from this part and from Christians to enter from that part. And in the middle, there's like a sort of fence that divide two communities from sharing the same ground in Beirut. So it was like hard to perform there because of the political context of the performance, but like at the end it was done.
Those are the real threats. Is it a threat, a real threat over there? Like dividing?
Yeah, it's very visible. Like you can see like sort of fence, but it's not visible here in the video. I think we can skip this part.
Okay. This is Shakal Beirut.
Yes, it is Goodbye Beirut. It's one of my favorite projects because it was made in 2019 where Lebanon was like sort of in a good situation. And it's really ironic that I did that 2 years before the big migration wave in Lebanon. So now basically everyone is leaving Beirut. And I mean, if I would do the project, I would do it right now in a different context maybe. But here, like I wanted to leave Beirut after my graduation. And I did that project and then I lost the funds. So I stayed here to participate in the revolution. And then there was Corona, the explosion in Beirut. And so I stayed. And now people are leaving because of the economic crisis.
It was interesting also that in this work you talked about Beirut as a person. It was like very intimate also.
Yeah, usually like I try in my most projects to be personal. So.
Well, here is I don't know how to pronounce.
It's Dayilim, it means I am not. So here it was like also a moment that I wasn't feeling very happy with the labels that I have in my life. Like I am Turkish, I am from a Lebanese mother, I am a Muslim. So people always associate these labels with like killer, a refugee, or a terrorist. And I was like born all my life hearing these labels. And so I decided like to make something about this.
Translation is I'm not.
Yes, I'm not.
Here, this work was presented at Reconnect Festival. It's called Prejudice in English. So could you tell us something about this work?
Actually, this one was done like really fast. I couldn't have the time to focus on it, and because we were like in the first few weeks of the quarantine and the pandemic, so I couldn't have the time to go and pick some textile or something from outside. So I performed with the toilet paper, which was like very common that day. And yeah, it's also like sort of post Dalim. It was like talking also about people, how they also have a judgment about our appearance and our backgrounds before they know us, they get to know us.
Well, this was collaborative. I had the pleasure to work with Nuri. We did for Migas de Cuerpos in Colombia. Blabel was developed by ID from a series of textual and performance exercises. One presented to Migas de Cuerpos. The calling Sagrado Deber as a response and reflection on what we consider our sacred duty and our experience during this pandemic. Babel as a geographical place, as an imaginary and symbol of the divisions caused by human arrogance, allows us to explore a wide range of interpretations from a threshold to heaven to the place we parted from and is at the same time a recurring spot. A place to return to, which, on resembling the everlasting turmoil, puts us in the very presence of our otherness. Oh, please, could you tell us something about this image, the image of rebuilding Beirut?
Okay, so before we have done the performance before the explosion, but for the course we were working, and it was like for August, and you know, like I think everyone knows what happened on 4th of August in Beirut, where like tons of ammonium nitrate was exploded, and this was like the first image after the explosion, and the poor like was completely destroyed, and people were like trying to help because the government doesn't have enough money, doesn't even have the trust of the people to go on the ground and save. So people were just like going out to the place and save as much as they can.
We Are All for the Country is a series of performance that aims to shed light on political and social problems. This was a brief description. A year ago, a fire broke out in Lebanon, followed by a revolution in the country that overthrew the government. The new year an inexperienced government, and with the outbreak of the corona epidemic, in light of the economic crisis that led to problems with food shortages and lack of fuel. With all the troubles and in the peak of the economic crisis, 2 tons of ammonium nitrate destroyed the city of dreams, Beirut, to become a cemetery. In addition, during the corona epidemic, there was pressure from some art institutions to make the artists work under pressure without any financial or moral compensation, and with repetitive callings and conceptual approach. Thus, I was performing under the pressure for the last 12 months, but also since a year ago, I met 2 amazing artists who gave me virtual support, and we shared a lot of local events and news in our countries, which were similar. Please tell us something.
Okay, so usually I don't like to talk about my projects because they are all my babies, but this one is like my least favorite. Well, I also love the conceptual approach of it because like it was done through a lot of connection and research, but like I wasn't very happy with the finishing. So as I said, because I performed and I really didn't have electricity, so I was performing with candles, so you can see the objects, and like I thought like I was trying to mix between 3 projects, which were Santiago, Falso Positivo, and Delim. So I was trying to connect between 3 artists that I like, Vladimir Ojeda and Monica. And like I was hoping for a better finish, but maybe later I can change that.
I love that this is a very intimate project also. I like the way you can translate your feelings into other social subjects that are more like collective. I think that the relationship between the collective and the intimate.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before I have done it because like we were trying to mix between problems in Argentina, in Colombia, and in Lebanon. But you know, like this is, for me, it wasn't like just series of performance. It was supposed to be like a building connection. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. So maybe later or one day.
Well, here's
This is like a different approach. This one, like when, like it's not performance, it's more visual and paintings. It was like a sort of experimental project that also Monica helped me to get through this. It was like during my stay in Istanbul, and here like I took the decision not to focus anymore on social political issues, but to focus more about my identity or myself in terms of love and the experience that I have. So it was made for a lover that I have lost. So yeah, that's the whole story. And I was like experimenting with other media because I'm known for my illustrations, for my performance. So here I was trying to get into paintings.
Well, here all the links where you can find Noor's work. So thank you so much to both of you. You can start your talk.